Hello, fellow Beast Wars fans. We are excited to be back from our hiatus. This episode we recorded a few months ago, actually, but our discussion did spend some time on the point Dinobot raises about fighting tyranny and totalitarianism. Just wanted to give you all a heads up since that might hit a little close to home right now. As always, this show isn't intended for children. Stay safe out there, everyone. Phil, this cannot go on any longer. Look at the destruction this podcast has caused. From this day forward, I am quitting the So We Were Talking About Beast Wars.
You're quitting the So We Were Talking About Beast Wars podcast?
I am.
Just because of all of the destruction? Listen, I know I've shoehorned one too many Beast Wars bingo categories into the podcast, but I don't think that's any reason to quit.
No one will stop making terrible, unnecessary podcasts until someone lays down his microphone and says, I will not record any longer.
But this is a war for listeners. There are no innocents. There's just the people who have no choice but to listen to us.
Oh, and I guess all those people who just decide not to listen. So I guess actually our podcast is maybe only hurting the people who do decide it's worth their time for some reason?
Yeah, I guess we might as well call our listeners our casualties.
Yeah, I'm betting that would actually probably be their sentiment as well. I guess maybe it's fine to keep being a podcaster then? I forgot that bystanders who didn't want to listen to a podcast can just not. I was thinking the Apple Podcast app is a battlefield. But now I'm realizing it's just an app that somebody can use or not.
Yeah, I mean, I force people to listen to the podcast, but that's no reason that you should quit.
To be honest, I guess my heart really wasn't in this quitting thing anyway. I literally have nothing better to do anyway.
I will say that Tigatron did make it sound appealing.
He did, but again, if you remember, like I said before, one big difference between Tigatron and me is loving to be in nature or not. So, if I quit this podcast, I was just going to, sit on the couch and stare at the wall or something. So, it would only be, slightly more productive than staying on the podcast.
I would venture to guess you're a better fighter than Tigatron is, though.
So, we were talking about Beast Wars.
We were talking about Beast Wars. I'm Phil Thomas.
I'm Andy Hunter, and Tigatron's still out here catching strays.
Catching strays. She had a name, Andy. Snowstalker.
Hey-yo! Another episode in which things don't really go the way he wants them to go. An unfortunate pattern for Tigatron.
Yeah, he makes a decision in the episode, and it catches some of the other Maximals off guard, but it's a decision I've been advocating that he make for several episodes just because he's so bad at fighting.
Yes. So the summary of the episode is Tigatron is fed up with the destruction caused by the Beast Wars and he quits. And yes, here on the podcast, we have created a rather extensive list at this point of the myriad ways in which Tigatron is not particularly good at fighting in the Beast Wars. So maybe better for his sake and the rest of the Maximals as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has a kill count, and it's not one he's proud of.
Yeah. Oh, listen, Rhinox, Sure, you guys talked me back into being in the Beast Wars again, but I'm still really not good at the fighting part. Is there any other role I could play? Well, Rat Trap's been handling our accounting, but he's kind of shit at that, so you want to take a crack at that? How are your Excel skills?
I am an expert in VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs.
This spreadsheet could have been a paradise. We are discussing Season 1, Episode 23, Law of the Jungle. This episode was written by Mark Liren Young. This is his only Beast Wars credit. He has written a bunch of stuff, though, including 2 episodes of fellow mainframe show Reboot, as well as 2 episodes of its more recent Reboot, The Guardian Code. And he is also a director as well. The episode's director is John Poser. He directed 3 other episodes of Beast Wars. One that we've seen so far is Double Dinobot. And then he also did one in season 2 and season 3. And he also directed one episode of Beast Machines.
Does Dynamite make an appearance in Beast Machines?
Not that I remember.
So his writing credits are an episode with 2 Dinobots, then goes to 1 Dinobots. Finally, no Dinobots.
Yeah, his directing credits, rather. So the episode begins with an illustration of the food chain in action. We see a dragonfly being eaten by a frog, then a snake eats the frog, and then a bird grabs the snake. I was pleased to see, again, we have more animal CGI models that aren't created just to be a character's beast mode. Although I'm guessing the snake was probably reused from Dark Voyage, the one where they all went blind. And since we only see the bird from behind and kind of in the distance, I'm guessing they probably reused Airazor's model for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
We've got Cheetor and Dinobot on a mountain. They have apparently been sent to find and investigate various alien sites. Dinobot is back to bitching about being wasted on a mission. So it's really funny to think that somehow he feels that mowing the lawn is more tactically worthy of him than finding powerful alien artifacts. Clearly, Optimus just needs to reframe the assignments in some way, like, Dinobot, your job is to find us a powerful alien weapon underneath all of these dirty dishes. I will attack these dirty dishes.
I think they need to use one of those strengths finder tests. They all need to do one of those corporate team building things so Optimus can figure out how to appeal to each one of the team members.
Yeah. They'll do the Myers-Bots type indicator.
Oh.
Anyway, Dinobot's complaining. Inferno shows up and does not understand the element of surprise because he shouts maniacally before he attacks. He sends a bomb at them, which launches miniature missiles. When I saw this, I thought, a bomb that launches missiles? Who do you think designed this? Scorponok, maybe?
Yeah. Have you played Helldivers 2?
I have not.
It's a pretty fun game. It's a game that satirizes being a soldier in a fascist society. So one of the themes that is expounded upon over and over again is how valueless your life as a soldier is. So a lot of the weapons and ordnance that you handle are just extremely dangerous and very likely to get yourself killed. So when I saw that bomb, I was like, that really reminds me of the type of weapon we would be requisitioned in Helldivers 2.
That makes sense, yeah. So anyway, Inferno attacks with this missile-launching bomb. For some reason, Cheetor and Dinobot don't transform right away as he shows up before he attacks them. But in Cheetor's case, that actually turns out to be lucky because when they're blasted, he, being a cat, lands on his feet. I thought that was cute. Dinobot lands on his head, but Cheetor lands on his feet. But they are fighting Inferno, and I felt like it doesn't reflect great on Cheetor and Dinobot that between the two of them, neither is able to land a hit on Inferno. Like, I get that Cheetor, has a history of not being the best marksman, but you'd think he would at least be providing enough distraction to let Dinobot land a couple solid shots,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Between the two of them, somebody. And, Dinobot is fairly sophisticated in terms of fighting. You could say that Cheetor is just kind of spamming his weapon, but Dinobot should know better.
Yeah, it was also weird that in a bit, Inferno eventually lands, and Dinobot begins approaching him using his spinning shield. Why wasn't he using that in the first place when somebody's firing at him?
Yeah, I guess Inferno just makes everybody feel a little insane whenever he shows up.
Yeah, or maybe just in the way that, can I use regular strategy against this guy? He is crazy. He might do anything.
I wrote in my notes a little later, but I might as well mention it now. Have you ever seen South Park and the cartoon that they watch, Terrence and Phillip?
I think maybe I've seen little brief clips of Terrence and Phillip.
So, the animation in South Park is intentionally bad. So when they want to display them watching a cartoon, the animation is even worse to signify that they're cartoon characters watching a cartoon. And the way they have these herky-jerky motions and only move sideways like a crab, Inferno really reminded me of one of those characters just because of the weird haphazard motions that he likes to make.
Yes, I don't know if it's in every episode, but definitely in this episode, he did feel very much like some kid somewhere had a remote control and was just randomly pushing the buttons, and each time he pushed one, a different limb of Inferno's would jerk in a weird way.
Like us, but we're trying to play Soul Calibur against each other.
Yes.
Just mashing the buttons.
Pterosaur and Waspinator are also there. Pterosaur tries to back Inferno up, but his multi-missile also hits Inferno. But then that distraction allows Cheetor to get a bunch of solid shots on Pterosaur, which was pretty satisfying.
Is that the shot where he gets pushed back into the mountain and then there's a pterosaur-shaped divot in the side of the mountain?
Yes.
That was satisfying.
And meanwhile, Waspinator is refusing to do anything until Pterosaur specifically says attack, because he's waiting for the signal. I thought this was kind of funny, but with Waspinator being this dumb, it does make me wonder, like, the Predacons have in the past successfully pulled off some plans that rely on their flyers getting the job done. How did Waspinator manage to participate in like the assault that stole the rectifier coil in Call of the Wild if he's this dumb, you know?
Yeah, it's another one of those annoying things where it's not consistent with either the story arc or just who he is in general. He is played up as being dumber than he normally is. Although I will say, even though I didn't laugh at how dumb he is here, when he's like, Waspinator will now engage enemy. That's supposed to be a punchline. But when they talk later in the next battle about signals, well, I ambush Dinobot when I give the signal. That's when Waspinator says, Waspinator likes signals. When he says that, it's ridiculous. Like, he's not Scorponok.
So meanwhile, despite having been hit by Pterosaur's bomb, Inferno is still giving Cheetor a hard time. So he calls for help, which Optimus receives. Cheetor gives the code R. We'd previously heard code X, which we assumed was perhaps bring the giant IKEA bag so that Optimus can, in one trip, carry all the blind guys back to base. My first instinct was code R just stands for rescue, but maybe it's something else instead. It's fly in, specifically because Cheetor and Dinobot are pinned down by the pyromaniac.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with a good word for code R. I did want to get your thoughts on what it was. The first thought I had was that it was code Rat Trap for some reason. This is a situation where we need Rat Trap to come save the day, but that also doesn't really make any sense either.
Unless it's code Rat Trap meaning flee like a coward. Let's pull a rat trap and just get the hell out of here.
Which they totally should have done. Snowstalker probably would have survived.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is that they were just pinned down and would have gotten shot in the back if they tried to flee.
Okay, fair enough. Well, so we'll roll with code R being rescue.
Even though one also imagines that bringing the giant IKEA bag is part of a rescue operation is what...
We're going to have to post something on whatever social media we have for this of Optimus flying around with a giant IKEA bag, ready to put everybody in it and take them back to the base.
Waspinator, now finally spurred into action, is trying to lug one of the big bombs, and Tigatron gets the jump on him. At first, Waspinator sees a real tiger, Snowstalker. So I guess this mountain is Tigatron's main area of operations. In which case, why were Dinobot and Cheetor sent all the way up here to look for alien sites when it's just Tigatron's backyard anyway? Couldn't he have just been sent to scout this area for alien sites?
It's interesting. I thought they just happened to be nearby, and him and Snowstalker were walking around, and then they heard the gunfire. Tigatron was like, "Oh, have you ever seen your man get into a fight?" And she was like, "No." So he dragged her along because he was trying to impress her, but instead he got her killed.
Yeah, that's how my first marriage ended.
You had a laser pistol and you shot it at a mountain and the mountain exploded. That's how your first marriage ended?
Yes. And my first wife was also a tiger.
Oh, I thought you were just bragging. She was an actual tiger.
Do you remember I was always showing up when we would hang out? You're like, man, why do you look like you've been mauled by a tiger recently? And I was like, oh, let's just say I lost another fight with the wife.
Oh, we thought that was a euphemism, but you actually had.
Yeah, we never saw eye to eye because actual albino tigers are cross-eyed.
Is this why whenever you left to go home, you would always take a stool and a whip with you?
Yeah, and why I always got so sensitive whenever you would make fun of Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah, some topics are off limits.
So Tigatron takes out Waspinator and is facing off against Inferno. There was a nice continuity touch. Inferno addresses Tigatron as destroyer of my colony. It's always nice when characters, especially characters from opposite sides who don't always have specific history, when they then do have some element linking them. It's not just, all right, I want to shoot you because you're any rando from the other side. It's like, I've got a beef with you because you destroyed my stasis pod or whatever.
Yeah, and you would think they would explore Snowstalker dying. Like, does Inferno view that as retribution of some kind?
He doesn't seem to recognize that it happened at all, other than, the tiger doesn't want to fight now. We can use this to our advantage.
Yeah. But in some ways, it is like a tit for tat. If he views his stasis pod as the colony, that could be tantamount to blowing up your family or your home or something like that.
Yeah. So they're fighting. Tigatron takes aim at Inferno, and the camera again does that same zoom in along the barrel up to his eye, as happened in, I think, the Trigger Part 1. And that time we talked about, they do this cool zoom in, and then Tigatron just misses. And so again, they do this cool zoom in, and Tigatron again kind of fucks up with his shooting. So he really needs to have a talk with the cinematographer of Beast Wars, I think. Be like, yo, knock that off. Things never go my way when you do that cool camera move.
Yeah, they're really jinxing him with that.
He does manage to hit Inferno a bunch, but then one of his shots goes stray and happens to hit the Predacon's cache of big bombs on top of the mountain, which causes a rock slide that kills his tiger friend, Snowstalker. I've got one thing to say, and then I'd like to get into the relationship between Tigatron and Snowstalker. When Tigatron finds her body, obviously her body is not shown. That would not be suitable for children's television. Tigatron crosses his arms across his chest in what nowadays we might think of as the Wakanda Forever salute, but I think it might have been inspired here by one of the actual inspirations of the Wakanda salute, which was Egyptian burial statues.
I did not know that.
And also other inspirations for the Wakanda salute were the American Sign Language words for love and hug.
Okay. Yeah, all of that checks out. That's good. Can I mention one other thing when we see the shot going towards the mountain? I wrote in my notes, Tigatron has his own the missile moment. They all just stand around. It takes forever to get there.
Snowstalker is just having a smoke, waiting for it to finally hit the top of the mountain. So what do we think is the relationship between Tigatron and Snowstalker? The only word they ever use here in this episode is friend. Do we think that's all they were? Or do we think they were mates?
I think it's implied they're mates. I mean, I had a much more basic question. How did she get the name Snowstalker? Is that her name? Did he give her the name? Does she know that Tigatron's name is Tigatron? Do they communicate telepathically?
I was assuming that in the tiger language, which is mostly just body language and a little bit of growling, he knows that she thinks of herself as basically the one who stalks in the snow. And so when he calls her Snowstalker, that's just him putting into English or Cybertronian language. He's just translating her name. If I'm going to say her name out loud, it's Snowstalker. But usually I would be in tiger form and I'd be like growling something and moving my body in a way that means that.
Okay, that actually does check out. That makes much more sense than what I was thinking, which is just that he was just like, your name's Snowstalker. And she was just like, Rrr?
And likewise, I assume she considers him, like in her tiger mind, one who cannot fight for shit.
I guess it's a good thing she couldn't communicate because he would be super embarrassed by what her name is for him.
Yes.
But to answer your question, I assumed that they were mates, but I can't really back that up, but that's the assumption I made.
Yeah, and the show, I understand, wouldn't get into the idea of, oh, wait, are these two fucking or not? But it is odd to me, like, that they didn't even use the term, like, girlfriend or something. But I also understand why they wouldn't want to open the can of worms of, like, Do we really want to address the ethics and everything of a robot having any sort of relationship really with a tiger?
Yeah, I guess if one of them were a lion and they just roamed around with a pride of lions because they identified as more lion than robot, I think that's what we're supposed to project onto Tigatron and Snowstalker. That they would just prefer to be with their own kind because this Maximal is more beast than robot.
Yeah, and I guess actually, for all we know, if Snowstalker is indeed that same original tiger that he was scanned from and his beast mode is based on, for all we know, his tiger mode is actually a female tiger. Yes, and maybe they're not mates, they're just sisses for life.
That's a good point. And I guess it's also the first time any Maximal became friends with the animal they were scanned from.
Yeah, when Cheetor tried to, the cheetahs were freaked out, and maybe it was because they don't like robots in disguise, or maybe it was just Cheetor coming on too strong. We did see Rat Trap getting some advice from a real rat, but not developing a long-term friendship with that rat.
So that's another Beast Wars trope. I do have a ton of Beast Wars Pickos moments, but like when one of the robots meets their beast namesake, that could be another one.
Yeah. Although I would imagine that'll probably begin to happen less and less as the show goes on.
Oh yeah, we've only got like 3 or 4 more episodes for that to happen.
Cheetor is very sympathetic to Tigatron, and he says it's never easy to bury a friend. And something about both that line and the way he delivered it made me think that despite Cheetor's relative immaturity, it does seem like he's speaking from experience there.
That's the way it comes off, but I think the way it was written was to make us think that Tigatron was thinking this refers to burying a friend, as opposed to this refers to fighting. I can't do this again.
Oh, yeah.
But it does kind of imply that, right?
Yeah, it seemed to me that Cheetor has had to bury a friend before. Who? Who knows?
Somebody back on Cybertron, I guess.
Yeah. So Tigatron is angry at himself for causing the death of an innocent. Dinobot, however, says that there are no innocents in war. And like I said earlier, I did really like them getting in each other's face here. These two kind of have diametrically opposed worldviews. And so it was really a really smart idea to make an episode where they have to bash their heads against each other for a while.
So Dinobot does play this role a lot, and he's usually cast as the person who is clearly wrong, especially like in kids' shows.
Yeah.
There's a person who's clearly wrong and is clearly espousing the opinion that you want to dissuade children from. But when Dinobot meets his fate in season 2, you can also see that he backs up with integrity the viewpoint that he espoused at these moments. And it now kind of like retroactively gives some weight to his viewpoint here. He's not just wrong. There is a time and a place for that type of logic.
Yeah, and honestly, even in this episode, I don't think this episode is trying to say that he is wrong. And yeah, I might as well talk about it now. Dinobot, in a couple scenes, again catches up to Tigatron, and they have this talk. I feel like Dinobot lays out a really good argument for the idea of being a conscientious objector doesn't work when the opposing side literally wants to kill you and every other person in the universe who does not fit their definition of the in-group. You know, it's not just like, there's a fight going on over there, and they're going to keep that fight over there if I stay out of it. No, Dinobot is like, if we back down, they're going to keep approaching us to whatever lines we keep falling back to. That is going to be the new line that they come up against. And one, I thought it was really smart having Dinobot. Like, this is a time where Dinobot's past as a Predacon was, I think, used really well. And he's like, listen, you don't know how they think the way I do. You hanging out is not going to be any better for Earth than you fighting. Because if you hang out here, they're just going to take what they want and destroy anything else, you know? And two, it just reminded me of how sometimes in the real world, I am frustrated when some leaders of political parties that I tend to agree with are just like, nope, we just have to always take the high road, no matter what dirty, underhanded tactics our opponents use. And we just have to shrug when we keep getting beaten over and over again because we refuse to address the reality of the world we live in.
You just hit me with two meaty ideas. So I think you were making a comment about tyranny.
Yeah.
Where you don't want innocent people to be killed. And it's important that unnecessary violence doesn't happen. But the point Dinobot's making, you and the point you're making, obviously, is that if the thing you're opposing is tyranny, then there's a time and a place. If it's just you're shooting for no reason, then yeah, maybe you were being completely irresponsible. But if you're opposing tyranny, something that is going to take over and these people can't be stopped any other way, then you have no choice but to fight. That having been said, he should stop fighting. Or the other conversation they should have with him is, yeah, no, bro, you should keep fighting, but you got to work on that aim. We've got simulations. We've got people that can help you. We've got target practice set up at the base. I think you're taking the wrong lesson away from this.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Like, listen, you're great at being a tiger. I think right now, the area with the most growth for you is how to be a robot. You've mastered the whole being on your own, being a tiger thing. We sometimes need you to be better at being part of the team, using a gun and not getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, and that's what if they wanted to talk about it openly. If you and I were there and then Tigatron was like, I declined to fight in the Beast Wars. And then, like, you're about to go up to him and say, buddy, you can't do that. It's me, like, grabbing you by the shoulder. And it's like, hold on. Let's think about this for a second. Are you sure you want to talk him out of defecting? And then we have this whole, like, conversation in the background. Maybe you could do the right thing for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, despite what we've seen on the show, I take it we're meant to believe that Tigatron is ultimately more of an asset than a liability to the Maximals. But it is true. There's a lot of on-screen evidence to the contrary.
I'm trying to remember if he does anything of consequence from here on out, and I'm not sure. But I guess we can explore that when we get to those things in those episodes.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not quite up to that conversation yet. Dinobot and Tigatron are arguing here, and Tigatron says that he's quitting the Beast Wars. Presumably, he plans to go off and live like a regular tiger. But it did make me wonder, does he hunt prey when he's a tiger? Because he's got this whole philosophy of, I don't want to hurt an innocent. And later on, when he and Dinobot are talking again, conveniently nearby, there's some antelope getting hunted by a regular tiger, which is a very neon orange version of Tigatron. And Tigatron's like, that tiger's just doing that to survive. Okay, how have you been surviving up till now, Tigatron? Either you've been hunting, or if you feel like you haven't been, then I guess the Maximals have been sending you like shipments of energon to infuse yourself with. But if you're quitting the Beast Wars, presumably you're not expecting to get those anymore. So I guess you are just going to hunt now for the rest of your life? Or did you not even like consider that? I wonder, like, has he been hunting up to this point since he considers himself so much more tiger than bot? And just how that fits into his idea of like, I don't want to hurt an innocent.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd never really thought about that. Maybe he's just eating those beans that Rhinox was eating from that Energon fart episode.
Yeah, I guess. As Tigatron heads off, Dinobot mentions the Predacons know how to deal with those who won't fight, and he takes off after Tigatron. Cheetor sees Apetimus on the way, and he says, thank the Matrix, which to me was a really nice way of showing the unshaking faith that Cheetor always has in Apetimus. If Apetimus is here, things are going to be all right somehow. Really small moment in this episode, but I liked it a lot.
Completely agree.
Dinobot catches up to Tigatron, and he says he wants to talk. He delivers it in the most threatening, aggressive way possible, which I loved.
Yeah, he's trying to extend the olive branch, but he's just extending 6 razor-sharp claws.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, often Dinobot is depicted as the one who's just always in the wrong. Often he's just very war-hungry, very quick to resort to violence. But like I said, I feel like in this episode, he does a really good job explaining why this is not a situation where taking the high road will be good in the long run for anybody.
Yeah. I also really love the cutaway they do to Cybertron, and they show part of the war going on. Whenever we get to see Cybertron in this show, I always think it's cool.
Yeah. Dinobot points out, if we sit out this war and Megatron is allowed to just plunder all of the energon that's here on this planet, he will use it to start a war that will hurt countless more innocents than are being hurt right now, while the fight is confined to this world. Tigatron's just saying, like, the Predacons won't find me. And Dinobot's like, hey man, I found you. Tigatron's like, talk all you want, I'm not going to fight you. And Dinobot says, you've got no choice. And for a while, I couldn't tell. Are Dinobot's Predacon instincts taking over and he actually wants to hurt him? Or is he just trying to show him that sometimes war is going to come to you, whether you like it or not?
What's your take?
I think he doesn't want to hurt him, because then Dinobot transforms and he shoots at Tigatron, but he deliberately misses him. And he says, Predacon wouldn't have missed. Now I trust you've learned your lesson. Get back in the fight. And Tigatron's like, nope, I'm sticking to my guns. And then Dinobot does pull out his weapons again. But to me, he looks really like, man, being the strong guy who's good at hurting people is the only tool in my toolbox. I want to teach this guy a lesson. This is the only way I know how. But it seemed to me like in that moment, he was like, I don't think this is the right way to go, but I don't know what else to do. We don't actually see if he would have followed through on that because Optimus shows up at that moment. But yeah, I like that scene. Tigatron and Dinobot are a very compelling dynamic.
I think it also adds a layer when Dinobot says to Optimus when he does show up, aren't you going to say something to him? And Optimus is like, I'm sorry, your friend died. And Dinobot's like, oh my God, like, what is with you people?
Yeah, he's like, with a maximal's tendency towards sentiment, how did you all survive this long? Yeah, that was funny, and also in a way that is subtle compared to some other times. It was a nice way of underlining the idea that, which I always love this, anytime this message happens in any show or movie or book, compassion and empathy, the bad guys always say, that is what makes you weak. And I love it when compassion and empathy and teamwork are actually what ultimately gives the good guys the advantage.
That's true. And those are the influences that have been operating on Dinobot. And he probably knows if he were going to be honest with himself, those have made him better too.
Yep. One much less interesting philosophical thing to talk about, but I did notice it also. Dinobot, at one point, still in his raptor form, he lunges at Tigatron and gets a mouthful of leaves. And then when he transforms into his robot mode, he's got the leaves still in his robot mouth and he spits them out, which I thought this was a weird touch. Because like one, in animation, that's not going to happen accidentally. That was a choice they made. But two, it kind of implies that his beast mode head is just like a Disney World mascot suit around his robot head or something.
Yeah, and then they do something else really novel with his head during the next fight after this, but I'll mention that when we get to it.
Dinobot stalks off, and then the Predacon flyers gang up on him, who holds them off remarkably well. He's just like moving his shoulders back and forth to dodge their fire for the most part. Optimus is like, sounds like Dinobot's in trouble, but Tigatron just looks down, declining to assist, so Optimus is like, all right, you've made your choice. Why don't you bring up Dinobot's heretofore unseen move?
So when he's fighting off the flyers to dodge a bullet or a shot that comes at him, his head retracts back into his body and then pops back up.
Like a Ninja Turtle might?
Yes, exactly. So if his head does that, does that imply that his raptor head does not fit on top of his robot head like a helmet if it retracts back into his body? So that it was a completely unnecessary thing that they did just to confuse the animation that they dropped on us in the last scene. So I found that a little infuriating.
Yeah. He does also have a neat move. It turns out he can spin his head around 360 degrees to shoot his eye race all around.
Yeah, that was cool.
Optimus shows up. He takes out Pterosaur and Waspinator simultaneously with one shot from each of his arm shotguns. Just a cool animation detail of how he spun with the recoil when he shot in midair.
Very cool.
Inferno shoots Optimus down and starts setting the forest on fire. And now Tigatron shows up again and angrily shouts about leaving the wild alone while blasting Inferno. Then Tigatron remembers, oh right, I've got ice powers, and he puts out the fire. It's like another kind of annoying thing is we one single time saw him freeze somebody, and ever since then it's just been regular blasts. You're leaving your best option on the table, Tigatron.
Yeah, I guess I also noticed in this episode, him and Inferno are the only Beast Wars Maximals or Predacons that have elemental abilities built into their weapons. I don't know if anybody else has any sort of alternate power to their weapon.
Yeah, I can't remember any, at least up to this point in the show. Unless you consider, like, venomous-ish stuff. Like, we've seen Black Arachnia can one-shot you with her venom stuff that you just kind of get all, like, purple stripey and you're paralyzed.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that does count. The venom and also maybe just the fact that they can make webs.
Yeah. And never mind the psychic damage that Tarantulas deals just by being near you.
Did somebody say suck?
No, Tarantulas!
You're such a tease. So the fact that he has an ice affinity on his element is my justification for how easily he's able to dispatch of Inferno, because Inferno has to be weak to ice if he has the ability to spew fire.
That makes sense. Because, yeah, otherwise Inferno did take a lot of damage in this episode, and it's not till Tigatron blasts him a ton that he is finally taken out. And that's on top of he spends almost all of the episode in robot mode, too. So this is just another time of like, well, usually they have to go back into beast mode after a fight, but not Inferno, I guess. He's just craziness will let you power through anything, I guess.
They play fast and loose with that with the Predacons a lot. I feel like there are a lot of scenes where the Predacons should be in beast mode because the Energon is shorting them out. But it's only really ever used as a plot device to handicap or challenge the protagonists.
Yeah. Now, Inferno having been dealt with, Tigatron seems to accept the point that the Maximals have a responsibility to defend this planet from the Predacons, although he'll still need some time to mourn Snowstalker. And then that concludes the episode.
You could even say that it's his empathy for the situation that Dinobot and Optimus are in. That's what gets him back into the battle. So, general thoughts about the episode?
I thought this was a good one. It does a great job pitting different philosophies against one another. It is a great use of the characters' conflicting personalities, like letting conflict arise organically. Well, it's sort of organic. I mean, I guess you could argue it's actually quite contrived that his one stray shot happens to hit the big cache of bombs on top of the mountain and causes a rock slide. But there's a lot of interpersonal conflict on the show that sometimes feels forced. Like we were talking about in the last episode. Some of the Rat Trap Dinobot stuff feels fun, and other times it just feels like, all right, come on, guys, get it together already. But in this episode, the Dinobot-Tigatron conflict felt very true to each of their personalities, and I felt like they were both being mature while really challenging each other on their worldview. And in general, also just a good analysis of difficult choices that sometimes people have to make in difficult circumstances.
Yeah, this ended up being better than I remember it being. When I rewatched it, I was finally able to see some of the depth that I didn't catch the first time.
Yeah. Shall we move on to Beast Wars Bingo?
Sure. Beast Wars Bingo moments. There was no bullet train. There was no hanging precariously. And there was no animal looking to the sky, which I was surprised by. There was no Optimus body harm.
Yeah. Well, I guess we do see Snowstalker kind of looking up fearfully during the rock slide, but yeah, it's not framed in the same way as the usual.
Yeah, if that were going to be the moment, that definitely would have been it. So I guess what do I mean when it's animal looking to the sky? I don't know, they were doing something peaceful and then all of a sudden something's flying in or falling in from space, maybe?
Right, yeah. Usually it's somebody is just chilling out and then what's that?
That having been said, that technically is a moment, so I'll give that to you. Inconsistent weapon power. Let's see, Tigatron explodes a mountain with one shot, and Tigatron can lay waste to Inferno for some reason, and that's when I came up with my Ice Affinity Fire Weakness theory.
I'll buy it. Why not?
Thank you. Stolen catchphrase. I put down thank the Matrix only because I usually only hear Optimus invoke the Matrix, like by the Matrix or something like that.
Yeah.
Prematurely declared dead. Are we sure Snowstalker is dead? Really?
Yeah, that's true. In the series finale, Snowstalker shows up.
You left me for dead.
Now I will end the Beast War.
Yeah, and then she stabs Megatron. Highest Apetimus threat level hit. I would say that was a 3, where Optimus dispatches Pterosaur and Waspinator with 2 simultaneous shotgun blasts, and his shoulder cannons come out at the same time. So he just blasts both of them with this full array of ordnance at once. I mean, if somebody's going to end the Beast Wars, I guess it's going to be this guy.
Yeah, it's a shame he can't tap into his guerrilla warfare self the rest of the time, because if they had just put like 10 minutes of planning into that rampage, I think like he could have just ended the Beast Wars if they just had a little bit more backup that they were providing him.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a football game where the quarterback is taking over, and it's like, if one other person on this team could score, just one other, I think they could win this game. So yeah, if they just a little bit more, they might have done it.
Yeah.
There was no fiance corner this week. And that brings us to the moment we've all been waiting for, Maximize versus Terrorize. Andy, how many times do you think Maximize was said?
I know there are times when it happens. Like, I'm going to say maybe Optimus said it when he was at that radar array getting Cheetor's call. I feel like Dinobot says it at one point, either when he's attacking Pterosaur or when he gets attacked by the 3 flyers. I'm going to guess it's twice.
Okay, really good. It's 3 times.
Okay.
But you got 2 of them.
Oh.
The first one is Optimus when he's at the radar station in the beginning of the episode. Good job.
Okay.
The second one is Tigatron when he's fighting Inferno. He says Tigatron maximize.
Okay.
And the third one is when Dinobot is indeed fighting the 3 flyers at the final battle. That's impressive, Andy. If I wasn't looking out for these, I would not remember any of them at all. So good job by you for getting 2 out of 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't watch the episode with an eye to that, but I think it certainly does register for me in a way that it probably didn't used to, thanks to this game.
Okay, cool. And now, how many times do you think Terrorize was said?
First, I was wondering, was it going to be said at all? Because Inferno was just spending so much time already in robot mode, and Pterosaur and Waspinator spent the first half of the episode just fighting while like trying to launch the bombs in beast mode. But I think I do remember one of them saying it, or more, when they finally maybe gang up on Dinobot. So I'm gonna guess once.
You guessed it. That's actually pretty correct on a number of different levels, Andy. It's said by Pterosaur in the final battle, but you also mentioned remembering a number of them transforming. Pterosaur says, I think, Predacons terrorize, and then 3 of them transform at once. So you were right. It is said once, but it is said in that moment where a bunch of them transform. So good job by you.
Thanks.
All right. And with that, that was Beast Wars Bingo.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Please subscribe and rate the podcast wherever you download it. You can reach out to us at beastwarstalk@gmail.com, especially if you have a question for our buddy Apetimus Prime, and he will answer it on the podcast. You search for us on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Andy Hunter.
And Phil Thomas.
And now we have talked about Beast Wars.